Welcome back to the Purposeful You Summit. I'm your host, Julie DeLucca-Collins, and this is brought to you by the Casa de Confidence Productions. I'm thrilled to have you back again. We are moving on with this incredible summit. We've had some great speakers. If you've missed any of the other videos, I encourage you to go back. They're going to be linked here in the comments, and make sure that you share these with the people that you know would love to hear the inspirational stories from our speakers. Thank you again for tuning in. I want to tell you that this purpose thing is something that I've been researching, and I knew that if I was looking for more answers, I needed to find out what others were experiencing. And we're all the same. We all have that inside purpose that sometimes it's not something that is very clear, and we're searching for it. So if you're searching for your purpose, this summit is for you. All of the panelists and speakers that we have gathered together are incredible, renowned speakers that are making an impact in the world, but they too have had journeys that brought them here. They're not immune to pain, grief, disappointment, or failures. Many of us have failed, but the most important thing that we've done is we have also gained insight into what we're meant to be doing. And for this reason, we're bringing this panel to you. We are in panel 5. Panel 5 is Hope Float Above All Hardships. And I know that if you're anything like me, and if you're human, you probably have some hardships that you've encountered. We're not alone. And this is why we want to talk about it. I am bringing to you some incredible speakers, and if you haven't tuned into the rest of the episodes, please do so. Also, make sure that you subscribe and share so that we can continue to bring you this incredible content that you can come back and check out. Resilience and optimism are so important for us to continue to leverage and find our purpose. When we are hit with hardships, all of us encounter that we can be knocked down in life, but there's a guiding light ahead of us. There's a guiding light that helps us float, and that is hope. Learn how to cultivate that resilience and optimism and the positive mindset that can help and be your companions in this journey to living your best life, in this journey to creating an impact through finding your purpose. And this is why we are together. This summit is brought to you by Casa de Confidence Productions, and I'm your host, Julie DeLucca-Collins. I would love for you to share in the comments what you're loving about this incredible summit. I would love for you to also share it with other people that this content may be able to resonate with. We've put together an incredible group of speakers, and to you, I want to present the incredible Lisa Wilson, Shelley Clark, Arden McLaughlin, Pearl Chiarenza, and Stephen Uriast. Thank you so much for being here, and stay tuned now for our speakers.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lisa Wilson. Thank you so much for being here, and I am so grateful to be here and together having this wonderful conversation. Hope floats above hardships, and I want to say thank you so much to Julie for bringing me on to her summit. I feel so grateful. I'm going to share a little bit about my own experience with you, and my intention is that it helps you in some way. I navigated some really challenging things in my life and had no idea how I was going to do it, to be honest. I used to sit back and think to myself, wow, I've been through death, deceit, and divorce more times than once. Each journey taking me to a deeper level of myself and my strength. But let me just share a little bit about what happened when I was 24. My first husband was killed in a car accident. It was an unimaginable loss, and I was devastated. I really didn't know how I was going to function in life. It took me completely out. He was my first love and my first boyfriend and my first relationship and my soulmate. It was devastating. But as I was wrestling with the grief and the loneliness that followed going through something as significant as the loss of someone so close to you, I was surrounded by a level of deceit from those around me, friends, family, and coworkers. It was shocking. It was shocking. And all I could do at that time in my life was just bury it, because if I actually faced it, I don't know if I would have made it through what I was witnessing happening. Somebody once said to me, it was 2 weeks after the accident, and someone in my close network said, "Get over it already." I remember thinking to myself, what? What? So I got busy. I got busy in my life, and I buried it, and I buried the pain, and I buried the experience. And as I navigated through my life over the course of time, facing one painful relationship after another in all areas of my life, friends, family, and intimate partnerships, I was taken back. And I was met with what felt like a precipice where it all came to a head after my son was born. And I remember hiking to the top of a mountain, and I finally stood at the top of this mountain and said, I command to see it. Show me what it is I'm not seeing. We're so powerful. We were never taught the truth of who we really are. And we really are very powerful beings. And when we ask for something, it is always given. We're not always aware of what that means, though. So I asked, and I asked to see it. And I was guided along a path that was mind-blowing for me. And one day I woke up witnessing the pattern that was just in every area of my life. Refusing to be a victim to it one more day, I was able to summon my inner strength and overcome a colossal challenge of narcissistic manipulation that was coming at me from all sides. It was unbelievable. But during the storm, I discovered something within me, a power of resilience. I found my inner strength. I don't know how. It was in there. And I remember somebody once saying to me, I wonder who you would have been had you not gone through that experience with the loss of your first husband. And I looked at them and I thought, wow, that experience transformed me to become the person I am today. And I'm ever so grateful. We don't see that when we're in it. We can't see it when we're in it at all. In fact, I navigate that journey one step at a time. And there were moments where I didn't know how I was going to make it through when I decided to walk people out of my life that didn't belong there, that were not on my team. They were no in every way. I had to learn my boundaries. I had to find my voice. I had to dust myself off from really painful experiences. And there were moments where I didn't know if I was going to make it out of bed on each day. And some days I didn't. I slept a lot during that time. Over the course of a year, working with a naturopath because my adrenals had completely crashed and I had nothing to give. I had just enough to be there for my son and to support him. But when I would drop him off at school, I was flattened. I would go home and crawl into bed. So I share this with you today because I know we can do hard things. We don't always know how, and it's one step at a time. And one of the paths that I want to share with you what I learned is just navigating it in this now moment, in this very moment. What can you do right now that's going to bring you some sort of peace? Being here on a summit and listening to wonderful speakers is one way for sure. Getting into nature. I always say that the answers to any question that you're having can be found in nature, and nature is so healing. So if you could just find yourself, get off of your devices, shut off your phone, and spend time in nature, bask in nature, meditating. I know everybody talks about meditation, but there truly is a grounding connection to your center, building your core center that keeps you moving forward in your life. Another tool that I used that really helped me on this path was taking salt baths. Epsom salt with Himalayan sea salt, 20 minutes. And I would listen to bilateral beats. Those bilateral beats would help ground my nervous system. They would help me get out of my head and release into peace. I use them every day when I need them. And to this day, if I find myself awake at night, they are the one tool. I'll put my earbuds in and I'll put bilateral beats on, and I will be able to gently find myself falling back asleep when life feels like it's offering something that is challenging and I don't know how I'm going to make it through. So, each challenge is a stepping stone, but each challenge will grow you stronger if you allow it to. If you are able to start to ask some different questions, like what is the gift in this situation? How is this serving me? I always say it's a gift. I ended up writing a book called Reclaim: The Surprising Gift of Toxic Relationships. And I call it a gift because each one of those experiences helped me become the person I am today, where I was giving away a part of myself, where I was looking outside of myself for the answers, where I was asking for somebody else to guide me. Those relationships helped me become me. They became my gift. So what is the gift in the challenge? Sometimes we will go through a loss so core and so deep that there's no way we can ever think of it in terms of a gift. And the only way you'll ever see it as a gift is going to somewhere bigger than yourself. What is that experience bringing to me in this now moment? Or how can I support others? For me to be here on this fabulous summit is a gift that I could support and be a part of service for each one of us, because I remember feeling so alone, not knowing how I was going to find my way through, and not having a single soul in my life to navigate, or very few, I should say, very few, maybe two people at that time during that journey that I was on that I could actually reach out to, and not often. So, one of my most challenging battles during this path was breaking free and rising from the ashes of narcissistic abuse. Each person will go through their own pathway of finding their way through the hard. Music became another really key component. I remember singing Rise was a song that just helped me in my core. I will rise from this. So the journey back to the self is one step at a time. The journey from pain to your power is every day, each moment, knowing that you are your greatest cheerleader. Just be there for yourself. Sit with yourself. You have tools to help you through. So I stand here today as proof that no matter how hard life can be, and what hardships we are faced with, there's always a way through and a way out. Remember that hope floats above hardships. And thank you so much for letting me be here today, for being here listening to my story. And I hope that it serves you in some way. You're okay. You're going to be okay. And we can find our way through this. And Julie, thanks so much for creating this wonderful summit, the Purposeful You Summit, and bringing your gifts out into the world in such a magical way. I'm grateful and honored. Bye for now.
In this life, we may all face some hardship, some situations that seem hopeless. Maybe you're in a difficult space right now. Maybe you're in a space where things look a little bleak. You know, that uncomfortable uncertainty where you've got more questions than answers. I understand. You're asking God, now what? Despite those tough moments, I need you to know that hope floats above hardship. Now, if you're familiar with the book of Ruth in the Bible, you know this book serves as a great example of hope in the face of hardship. The story begins with Elimelech and his family moving from their homeland of Bethlehem, Judah, to a place called Moab. And while there, their two sons marry Moabite women. One of those women being Ruth. Well, after about, let's say, 10 years or so, tragedy strikes. Naomi lost not only her husband, but both of her sons. Think about that. She lost her husband and her two sons. So here she is in a foreign land, left with her two daughters-in-law. I can see her throwing her hands up and saying, now what? What am I going to do? She felt like God had abandoned her, and she said as much, that the Lord had afflicted her. Now what? Well, this is where the lesson of Ruth comes in. Yes, things look hopeless, but they had a choice to make. Am I going to sink? Am I going to swim? Am I going to die in Moab or do something? Naomi did the only thing that she could do. She made the decision to return to her homeland of Bethlehem, Judah. And Ruth, her daughter-in-law, made the decision to go with her. Mind you, Naomi really didn't have much to offer Ruth. Still, Ruth made the decision to go with her. Once they reached Bethlehem, Judah, another decision had to be made. How would they take care of themselves? That's when Ruth made the decision to glean in the field behind the harvesters so that she could care for herself and her mother-in-law. Do what you can. Both Naomi and Ruth made a decision. And they said, I'm going to do what I can. Now that one decision leads them to a blessing. They weren't aware of it at the time, but Ruth was in the right place at the right time. While gleaning in the field, the landowner took notice of Ruth, and he even asked the overseer of the harvesters, who does this young lady belong to? So she made an impression just by working, and she found favor with him, so much so that she told her to glean in his field exclusively and to follow along with the rest of the women that were working. When you're doing the right thing, God always blesses you in the middle of it. He told the workers to leave a little extra for Ruth to pick up. So by the time she returned to her mother-in-law, Naomi said, whose field did you work in today? She had that much grain. She's like, where did you work? That's when she informs Naomi that she worked in the field by the name of a man called Boaz. Now, if you know the story, you know that Boaz is a relative of Naomi's late husband, Elimelech. And as such, he has the right to redeem Naomi's land and Ruth, should he so choose. Now, remember, Naomi thought she didn't have anything to offer, but she was wrong. She used the wisdom that she had to tell Ruth what she needed to do next. In her wisdom, she instructed Ruth on how to approach Boaz on the threshing floor. She told Ruth, here's what I need you to do. I need you to clean yourself up, put on a little perfume, put on your best dressed clothing, and approach Boaz on the threshing floor, but only after he's had enough to eat and drink. I want you to lay at his feet. How many of you know that God has not left us hopeless or helpless? She told Ruth, use what you have. And she did just that. She was obedient. She followed the instructions that her mother-in-law had given her. She used what she had. Now, Ruth must have made a big impression on Boaz because he was sleeping, resting peacefully, but awoke out of his sleep and noticed that there was someone laying at his feet. Now, can you imagine when he awoke to see someone laying there? Like, what's going on? And he noticed Ruth. Looking how she was looking, y'all. I can imagine he went, hello, Ruth. Now, keep in mind, although he was part of the kinsman redeemers, he was not technically the next one in line. There was another who had the right to redeem before him. But because Ruth had made such an impression, he said, okay, hold on. I got to go see a man about something and get this resolved today. So Ruth has done two things. She has done what she could, and she used what she had. And from there, the ball was in the kinsman redeemer's court. They were essentially in a holding pattern. They had to wait to see what the outcome could be. And scripture even tells us that Naomi told Ruth, wait, because he will not rest until the matter is settled. And if we're honest, it's that holding pattern, that wait, that's difficult for all of us. We're ready for the journey to be done already, right? We're ready to reach that destination. But what I've found is sometimes what happens in the middle is just as important, if not more important, than what happens at the end. It's smack dab in the middle of our tough situations often that we find out who we are and whose we are. God often reveals himself in another way to us. And that in and of itself is worth that journey in the middle. This leads me to my third and final point. After you do what you can, after you use what you have, then you've got to believe God for the rest. Long story short, Boaz marries Ruth. He takes care of Ruth and Naomi, and they have a child that is in the lineage of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen, somebody. The good news is that he has done the same. God has done the same for you and me. He has redeemed us from the curse of the law. He has turned our situation around. The same way that he did for Ruth and Naomi, He can and will do the same for you and for me. And that now what question is turned into a statement. Psalm 37:25 says, I've never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. Our now what question is answered with God's statement of, now what? Didn't I tell you that I would never leave you or forsake you? Now what? I'm God, and there is nothing impossible in me. Now what? Those who trust in me will never be disappointed. Look, he has not left you or me hopeless or helpless. He is indeed the author and the finisher of our faith. He orders our steps and our stops. Do what you can. Use what you have. He's given us everything that we need as it pertains to life and godliness. And finally, believe God for the rest. Now what? Hope always floats above hardship. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Arden McLaughlin, and I own a publicity firm. And normally, I am the happiest person in the room. Today, I am talking to you about grief. What happens when the happiest person in the room is grieving? So, you are left out of a group chat. What now? That's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going into those moments when you thought everything was going right, everything was going your way, and then you realized there were forces outside of you that were acting in a way that was not in alignment with where you were going. And that's what grief really feels like to me. So, the reality behind my talk, what happens when the happiest girl in the room is grieving? So when we think about grief, we think about it in that normal stages of grief, right? Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and then acceptance. That makes us think there's a circular, there's a beginning, and there's an end. But truly, what I've experienced over at least the last year where it's felt so intense, I have realized that it's not linear, it's messy, and it also impacts our business in ways that we did not realize it could do. So I want to dive into what happened, and I want to talk to you about how do we get out of it or how do we deal with it. So I don't think there's like totally getting out of it, but the truth is, this is what grief feels like. I've spoken to a lot of people about this book I'm writing, and I've gotten a myriad of responses. Some really positive, and others wondering what I know about grief. That's why I'm writing it. That's why I'm giving you this talk today. I'm writing it for people who simply feel heartbroken for days and weeks at a time, with no one who's really listening to them, or when they're crying out for help, they're not getting any help back in return. For the ones who have avoided dealing with pain for so long, it's piled up and there's nowhere to go. We don't want to share it with anyone for fear of a response. But here's what I do know. Life's not working out for us. No matter how much we work, how much we believe it's going to work out, it just doesn't. But we're seeing the fruit of everyone else. We see that no matter how hard their seasons can feel, their seasons come to an end and their prayers get answered. They get the spouse, they get the kids, they get the big job with financial security, or they get all of it. And no matter what, those of us who are in this space, what we pray, what we wish, what we manifest, it doesn't happen for us. These are the people who are crying out, why not me, God? Why am I still here praying the same prayer when everyone else is on to the next thing? Throughout our time together, I'm going to share some moments of vulnerability and hurt that may resonate so deeply with you that you're going to want to quit. You're not going to want to be here any longer. Don't. Because my goal of this book is to get real about it all, the pain of rejection, the pain of loss, the pain of simply being alive. I want you to have permission to grieve how you need to grieve. Because at the end, I'm hoping to provide you with some kind of hope while also realizing that this may just be where we are for now. That's what grief feels like. It feels like looking up and realizing I have worked so hard, but yet I wasn't working in the right way, or grief was so in the way of me doing anything to build my business that I had to start all over. I'm looking at losing my house. I'm looking at losing my car. I'm looking at losing my apartment. I'm looking at losing my business because I was grieving for so long and did not even realize I was grieving. It means I'm going to have to trust new people. People I thought who were my dearest best friends just one day decided they weren't friends with me anymore. And I looked up on Instagram and there was an entire event and then another event and another event, and I was not invited. And I realized I was completely left out of the group chat for no reason. It's realizing that the dog that I loved, that represents the parents that I love, is going to die, which also means my parents are going to die, which also means I am single and alone. And no one's going to help me walk through that. As much as the rest of my family believes, I don't have a partner to walk through that with me. It's believing and knowing and realizing I have to deal with all that. And I have to put one foot in front of the other. All of these are true of me. All of these are things I have been dealing with for the last year and a half. I have really realized what grief means, and I've really started to lean into how can I impact other people. But right now, I just need permission to grieve without judgment, without losing friends, without losing business, and while still just putting one foot in front of the other. I realized I wasn't dealing with it because I wasn't giving myself permission to deal with it. So that's what I want you to do right now. You have permission to grieve for you, for what grieves you, for how it grieves you, for why it hurts you so much. It doesn't matter that other people think it's not worthy. It's not enough. You didn't lose a parent. You didn't lose a child. You don't know what it's like. But for you, you never even got those. The hope of having a child, you don't get it. The hope of having a soulmate, it's not happening for you. The hope of having a thriving business where you're a multimillionaire and you can continue to pour out into your community in different ways, it's not happening. You have to take space and you have permission to grieve right now. You also have to realize that you cannot continue to grieve and stay in grief, because at some point it will overwhelm you. And I want you to find and dig in with these other places and these other classes, find ways to get up. For me, I got back into church. For me, I called out, help my unbelief, because you have to be able to move into this. And here's how I did it. For the longest time, I've said my life verse was Hebrews 11:11. It was this necklace that I wear around. For faith, even by faith, Sarah, who was past childbearing age, was enabled to bear children because she was considered him faithful who made the promise. In fact, I wear that necklace, like I said, every day. But what I have had to add is, God, I do believe, but I need you to help my unbelief. Because in the first passage, Hebrews 11:11, what we do not realize while we're sitting here is this is where Sarah was coming from. This was a place of grief. And the laugh that she laughed in Genesis 18:12 was not a laugh of joy. It was a laugh of watching everyone else get divorced and remarried while you continue to get men who can't commit. It's a laugh of watching one more person complain about our kids when you so desperately want one of your own. It's a laugh of seeing people overcharge and underdeliver and you wonder how you're going to make payroll. It's a laugh of contempt and hurt while also breathing a prayer, a cry out to help my unbelief. Because if we're honest, I think we have so much self-help and self-love and self-love, self, that somehow we've been programmed to believe that we can only trust ourselves. But when the truth of the matter is, when you let go and you trust that things are going to happen better for you, you can also move into something else that is past grief. It's past accepting it. It's past any of it. It's a life of simply being who you were meant to be. When I look at this girl, she was in the hills of Tuscany, Italy, something I never dreamed I would be doing and having a photo shoot, and I was free. I was free because I finally said yes to hope. Yes to it's not great, it's not perfect, it's not what I wanted, but it is what's here and now. And I guess it was a little bit of acceptance. But it's not anything else but saying yes to helping my unbelief and helping me move forward. So you're asking me, what's the formula, Arden? What are the 5 steps? How did you get there? What did you do? Did you do those 5 steps? Did you walk through them? I believe life doesn't work that way. I believe our flight is individual. We have to go through it our own way. We have to dig deep and find our own space while also being a communal life. This talk isn't one to get you to work with me. I am not a grief coach. This talk is how to get you to be with me and me with you so we have space for each other and space for people who are acknowledging that we're doing our best to not be jerks. This is a space for people that we're sad, we're upset, life isn't right, but it is where it is. And we want to do life together and we want to rise up in hope. Because in my business, I'm a publicist, I'm a PR coach. You can find me here talking about how to grow your business and grow your brand and tell great stories. But if you're not happy within you, you cannot tell those great stories. If you're not dealing with the grief, you cannot do it. And I created this group for us, a permission to grieve and grow. Permission for grief. Permission for grow. And that grief is present because even though grammatically it's not correct, it is grief. We haven't grieved. We're not grieving. We're sitting in grief. And we're also growing. We're sitting in those together. And I'll leave you with this. When things get tough, when you go back and when you think you're over and you're not over it, I want you to say, God, I do believe, but help me overcome my unbelief. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Pearl Sharenza, and I am the owner of Women's Successful Living. And I am a mental fitness life coach. I am also a wife of almost 38 years to my husband, Chuck. We've been together going on 40 years next year. And I asked him to marry me. Funny story in that. I'm also a mom to my amazing son, Matthew, who is forever 25, and my son, Nate, who is 23 years old. Both of them have brought some amazing women into their lives. One, my son left us a blessing in his passing last year of his beautiful girlfriend, Brittany. And she has a beautiful daughter, Evie. And Evie has become our own granddaughter in the world of through their relationship. And Nate is dating and hopefully soon to be engaged. We still see later this year, maybe, who knows, to his beautiful girlfriend, Amy. And I'm so proud of them because they just recently bought their first house at the young age of 23 years old. And of course, like I said, my cheerleading team rounds out with my husband, Chuck, who, like I said, we've been together almost 40 years. He truly is the blessing that came into my life at a very young age. And he is my biggest cheerleader of all. Now, had you met me a few years ago, I might have told you that I was a wife and a mom before I would have told you that I was a mental fitness life coach. Because you see, I am a recovering people pleaser. I always stood behind the shadow of everybody else, from my family to my friends and even to my business. And it wasn't until I took an identity destiny course that I realized after 6 weeks, I still didn't know who the heck I was. I still wasn't showing up for myself in my life. So I decided to go on a journey at the end of 6 weeks when my friend called me out at the end of our I am statement and said, I don't see you showing up in there, Pearl. Why are you not showing up? Where are you? And so I decided that in June of 2015, I was going to prepare my oldest son, Matthew, to go off to college and prepare my launching back into finding out who Pearl was. In doing so, though, first, I also had to repair my relationship with my son, Nate, who at that time was a junior in high school. Because you see, I took advantage of his independence. I took advantage of his being able to do things on his own, including great grades. He is a mind of an old soul. He can have great conversations with you, but he also can build amazing things with his hands. And that's why today he's an engineer. So as I did that journey and started to repair that relationship with Nate, I decided to figure out who is Pearl. You see, I started realizing that I was showing up for so many people and I wasn't showing up for myself. So with that, I had to figure out how I was going to start showing up for myself. And it wasn't easy because if you asked me to do anything, it could be as simple as even helping you do your laundry. I probably would have said yes to you. I was saying yes to volunteering for the PTA, PTSA. I was saying yes for nonprofit organizations that maybe I didn't know much about them, but they asked. So I didn't want to say no because have you ever been there? You feel like you're going to hurt somebody's feelings, or you feel guilty because you're going to say no, or you think they're not going to like you. You see, that was me. I thought I wasn't going to be liked. I thought people were going to think that I was selfish. And so I would show up for these events, not 100% myself. And I probably might have been late, or I might have been like, oh gosh, I got to go do this again, or do that again, or be there. And so I decided to do something to really stop that people pleasing, to really get into finding out who Pearl was. Because you see, my mind can be my best friend, but it can be my worst enemy. And those things I was saying to myself was really playing tricks on my mind. I was allowing my file cabinet to be open to the front instead of the back. And what do I mean by that? The front is all the things that we tell ourselves we're not worthy, all the negative thoughts. They're not going to like me. But in the back, we have that file cabinet that we buried from when we were kids that tells us we deserve anything and anything we want, that it's all sitting out there waiting for us. That when you came into this world, no matter who you believe in, whether it's God, a higher being, or whatever that is, that you have a talent. And that talent is your job to start making it come to fruition for yourself. And here's what I was finding. When I wasn't doing that, I wasn't showing up for myself, and I wasn't showing up 100% for you. So if I don't show up for me, I can't pay forward my talents to you. So I decided, how was I going to do this? So I decided to take a pebble and I would put it in my pocket. If I didn't have a pocket, I'd stick it in my bra strap. I made a commitment to myself to move that pebble 3 times a day by saying no to something. So therefore, when I said yes, it meant that I really thought about it and I really showed up 100%. And here's the thing. At first, it was hard. It probably took me a good 3 months to get through the process. But once I started stepping into not feeling guilty about saying no, to not feeling like they're not going to like me, to standing up and saying no as excitedly as I was saying yes, I had an aha moment. I realized that other people that I was connecting to you with, if you asked me to help volunteer at an event that maybe it wasn't something I wanted to do, I might have said, hey, Julie, I would love to help you volunteer at that United Way event. And right now, it's just not something that I can make the time for. But I know somebody who's great at doing exactly what you need. Let me introduce you to Anne Marie. So then at that time, when I introduced Julie to Anne Marie, guess what? I was connecting Anne Marie to something she had a passion for. So that aha moment after about 4 or 5 times that happening was like, I've denied other people the opportunity to shine because I was saying yes out of guilt, out of shame, out of selfishness. And so I'm saying to you, what are you doing today that's holding you back that you need to start stepping in and saying yes to yourself? What is your I am statement today? Are you showing up as a mom and friend and your job first? Or are you showing up as that inner pearl that you have inside of you that's waiting to shine and waiting to come out? Who are you to the core is really what you want to start shining. And when you take some steps to do that, life can change. And here's the thing. It's not easy, you guys. Your mind is constantly sabotaging your potential for both performance and happiness. All those negative emotions that come into play, including they could cause stress. They can overwhelm you with and sabotage all those thoughts you have of positive things for your life. So here's what I want you to do. Grab a piece of paper. I want you to take a few steps because I want you to remember, first of all, life becomes more stressful with each passing year. The impact of stress can pose serious challenges on your health and your happiness. And much of that stress is the result of habits that we have negative impact on our life. We are allowing them to impact our lives in such a negative way. And once you can start stepping into who you are and you can start realizing your mindset, actions really count, I want you to imagine a life with less stress, increased happiness, and improved performance across various aspects of your life, whether it's at work, whether it's volunteering, whether it's in your family. Because by breaking out of your current habits and patterns, you can start exploring the possibilities that are waiting for you. You just have to step into it and start doing the work. So what I want you to do, first of all, is to start fresh. If you feel like your life has become predictable, unfulfilling, and boring, it's time to make that fresh start. Making a change is not turning your life upside down. I'm not saying flip the switch that fast. It's an opportunity to stand back and revise your current way of life. I want you to start practicing saying yes to yourself. I want you to get out of the comfort zone of your everyday life by doing something different. Really, when was the last time you challenged yourself and tried something new? Tried saying no to somebody so that you could say yes to yourself. Tried saying no to somebody so you could work on your business instead of being at a networking event that maybe it isn't in the right place for you. I want you to be open to new experiences, say yes to yourself, and start choosing things that feel good to you. But it's not easy, okay? Because you've got to figure out some hard work. So first, I want you to think about the things that make you happy and make a list of those things that truly make you happy and truly bring you joy. I challenge you to make 10, but start with 3. And then you make so many lists of things you want to do. I want you to create a not to do list. Take the things off of your list that you do every day that keep you from the joy that you have. And then the next thing is I want you to start decluttering. I want you to look around right now. What's holding you back? Because clutter includes scrolling on social media, limiting beliefs, bad lifestyles, and that junk in your kitchen drawer. And I want you to start stepping into saying no to others without fear. Because the most empowering thing to get out of the rut is to walk away from fear. Fear stops you from taking risks, big or small. It makes you afraid to try anything new. And when you can start doing all of these things, you can start stepping into being the Shira that you are. You'll start becoming stronger in communicating your realistic expectations to your family, your friends, and saying no to others. And as you do that, you become happier and you'll live a happier lifestyle. And as you become happier, you become empowered, empowered to do the things that you've been waiting to do, the things you've put on your shelf and not taken off the shelf to work on for yourself. As you become powered, you're going to walk into a room and you're going to feel more radiant. People are going to look at you and say, Julie, what's happening? Did you cut your hair? Have you got new makeup on? You're going to have this new glow up about yourself. And as you do all of those, you then become that original self, that original person that's been hiding, standing behind and letting everybody else shine. Because now it's time for you to shine. It's time for you to step into who you are and start saying no to others and yes to yourself. And if you're not sure how you're showing up and you're not sure where that self-care is at for yourself, and you want to make a change, if you're interested in knowing what your superpower is in your self-care, I want you to go take our survey at pearlssurvey.com. That's with 2 S's, pearlssurvey.com. And I want you to see where your superpower is showing up in your self-care. Because I want to tell you this. You come into this world. You are a rough oyster on the outside, but on the inside, you are this beautiful pearl that's waiting to shine. And you deserve to start saying yes to this pearl and no to others. So please go put your Shiro cape on, wrap yourself first, and then everything you've left over pour into each other and become your inner pearl to greatness. I hope you have a great rest of the day and enjoy the rest of the summit.
Hello, everybody. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Stephen Uriest, and I am the author and illustrator of the children's book series called Pet Series. Now, PET stands for Passionate Epic Tales, which is kind of a long journey. I know that this Purposeful Summit is about hope and overcoming adversity. To get here, I've overcome a lot of adversity. Let's start in 2020. In 2020, in February, my father passed away, and I went into a little bit of a depression. In 2021, my mother passed away, and I wasn't quite ready for it. If you ever lose anybody, you know that the first year is always the hardest. It's the first holidays, it's the first birthdays, it's the first everything. I have 6 kids, and now they've lost both their grandparents on my side. I wasn't entirely sure how to react, and I went through the grieving process of everything. In 2022, my marriage began to fail. So in January of 2023, I started living in my car in Colorado, and I didn't see a lot of hope. It was cold. I didn't have my needs. I was in a very, very, very dark place. There were times when I felt it would be easier to just leave this world, not worry about it anymore, hope that everything would be better off without me. It was in those dark nights, those cold, bitter, dark nights that I had hope. It was the only thing that was keeping me alive was hope. Hope that something will be better. Hope that I can build something. Hope that I can be something. Hope that I'm much more than this. Hope that I can find happiness again. Hope that I can find anything. Just find anything that would make what I'm going through less miserable. And I fell asleep one night. And I woke up and I swear I heard a voice. And that voice said, "Not yet." I would tell you it's my mom telling me to hold on. A lot more coming. You're not through yet. Other people would say that it was God telling me that I'm not ready to leave yet. And keep in mind, at this moment in time in my life, I was not a believer. I had taken a journey that led me away from God. So I didn't know what to think. I didn't know how to act. I didn't know what to feel. And in that moment, I wrote my first book. I wrote it in a little over 25 minutes, and it just came out. It just started pouring out of my fingertips. I'm living in the car and I don't know what to do. I'm reading it. It sounds good. I talked to a few other people and they say, yeah, this is really good. You need to do something with this. And so I said, okay, let's try it. And I started reaching out to some publishers to find out, what do I have here? And I got immediate attention. Immediate attention. And they were all like, yes, we love your book. We want to publish your book. However, in order for us to publish your book, we need $5,000. At the time, I'm living in my car, so I don't know what to do or what to say. I'm like, I don't have $5,000. If I had $5,000, I wouldn't be living in my car. So I continued my search and persevered on and came across another publisher. He said, yeah, we love it. We want to go ahead and publish it. We want to take 50% of your royalties, keep your copyright, and it'll cost you $1,000. Once again, I don't have $1,000. I don't know what to do. So I go what anybody does, and they go on social media and they try and find groups of self-publishers, and they want to reach out and find out how to do this, maybe by yourself. And I started drawing the pictures of my two cats. Now, keep in mind, when I first started this book, the title I gave it was The Passionate and Epic Tales of Curiosity and Encouragement. We'll get more into that a little bit later, but in scouring social media, I came across a few people and my publisher reached out to me and she said, tell me your story. And there in the middle of winter in Colorado in my car, I opened up and she believed in me. She said, I want to publish a book. And I said, I don't have any money to publish the book. And she said, that's fine. I will help you. I don't want to give up my copyright. I don't want to give up, you don't have to. She was there for me. She led me down this dark tunnel that I was in into some light. And I found hope. And I started feeling a little bit better. And she wanted me to help her with her publication. And she wanted me to help her do some things on social media and do some marketing. So all I have is time. Sitting here in the car, trying to figure out life, wanting to publish my book. I'm drawing pictures. The cats are looking fantastic. The book gets edited, and I'm just living moment by moment with hope that this book will do something. Just come to fruition. That's all I want. That's all I'm trying to manifest. That's all I'm trying to do is just get this book to come to fruition. And it did. We worked so hard to get the first book out. And I'll tell you, the moment when you get that book in the mail and you open it up and you see it and you smell it and you read it and it's your book and it's your hard work and it's your sweat and it's your passion, it's your desire thrown into this book and you have it in your hand. It's like no other feeling you've ever felt before. And that gives more hope. When I first held that book, I was just in awe of everything. My publisher, Soul Sunshine, uh, she's my friend, Susan. She's been my mentor. She's been my friend. She's been my light at the end of my dark tunnel. And in this, we going through things, getting the first book out, I went on TikTok and I was live and I was drawing. And a kid comes on, tells me that he gets anxiety. He's afraid to talk to his parents. I researched, you can talk to parents. It's okay. They're not going to be upset with you and they can get you the help that you need. And we talked for a little while. And then when I got off TikTok, I wrote the second book. Once again, 20, 25 minutes, just outpoured, flowed out. And I frequented an establishment here in Colorado called Noonan's every single day. And I drew every single picture. And I entered that picture into my computer. And I made them into pages of the second book. And I ended up writing book 3 and book 4 and book 5. And every single time I write it, I would just get more hopeful and I would envision positivity. I've sold books. I've reached new hearts. I've touched people's souls. But at the same time, my soul has been touched. My cat's curiosity and encouragement, they want to change the world. And in changing the world, the only way they know how to change the world is through love. However, looking back at my journey, they saved me. They gave me love. They showed me how to be better, to find that hope in those dark times, to hold on, to not go through the struggle alone. If you're ever feeling in a dark place, reach out. Always find hope. No matter how hard it is to find, there is hope. It could be something as small as the sunshine or an animal that you see playing, the sound of laughter, or it could be something that can thrive to change your life. Always keep hope. Always. Because life is good. And we all have to overcome adversity. We all have to go through struggles. But with hope, with love, we can change our world. And if we can change our world, we can change a little piece of the world. How I look at it is every raging fire started from a single spark. That spark turns into a flame. That flame turns into a fire. Sometimes all you need to look for is that spark. That one tiny, minuscule little spark. Or you can be the spark. Thank you for listening to me. My name is Stephen Urias. And I hope you guys are seeing a light at the end of every rainbow, at the end of every dark tunnel. Find that hope. Go out. Spread your love. Thank you for listening to me.
Welcome back, my friends. I hope this panel empowers you to see beyond our hardships and to embrace hope, to float in your life and continue forward, because when we continue forward, we can live in our purpose. You are tuning in to the Purposeful You Summit. And now I invite you to join us for the next panel that is available to you, where we will be discussing finding the silver lining. So tune in. And again, leave us a review. Make sure you subscribe, share, and follow the speakers. We have their information all in the comments.